Today I would like to share with you a movie about a woman, who framed for her husband's murder suspects he is still alive, because she has already been tried for the crime, she can't be re-prosecuted if she finds and kills him. 6 years ago, Libby's husband Nick organized a party with his business friends. This is a donation party held for Libby's son preschool, which Libby's best friend Angie working for. At that time, Libby was still a happy housewife, her only life is her husband and son. However, her husband Nick had already secretly cheated with her bestie Angie. A conspiracy to destroy Libby quietly unfolds. After the ceremony, Nick takes Libby to the beach. A yacht sails slowly on the sea. This is the surprise Nick prepared for Libby. He heard that the owner of the yacht was selling the boat, so he spent money to rent it for 2 days. Take a romantic voyage with Libby. Bestie Angie volunteered to help them take care of their son. In the endless ocean, Libby and Nick are standing on the deck, enjoying the sunshine. In sunset, the two got into the cabin. Experienced the pleasure of having fun at sea. Libby opened her eyes late at night. Seeing herself covered in blood, Nick is missing too. She shouted several times in panic, but no response. Libby followed the bloody footprints on the ground to the edge of the deck, picked up a bloody dagger. Then the Coast Guard arrived, ordered Libby to put down the murder weapon in her hand. The Coast Guard searched the area for nearly 24 hours. Nick's body was not found. Police tested blood stains on the yacht. Official announcement of Nick's death. Libby became the biggest suspect, because the police searched the yacht. No traces of other people were collected. They only found Libby's fingerprints. They also investigated. Nick and his wife bought a huge insurance policy. The policy value is $2 million. The beneficiary is Libby. Police suspect Libby killed Nick. The purpose is for insurance compensation. Motive established. Libby was arrested and imprisoned for murder. Libby is unwilling. She appealed to the court, asking the police to clear her name. Coast Guard as witness, recounted some details they knew. The night of the incident, Libby's yacht called the main station for help. When the Coast Guard approaches the yacht, witnessed Libby standing on the deck holding a dagger. Then they went on board to inspect. The radio has been vandalized. Coast Guard statement completed. The recording of Nick calling for help was played in court. Libby denied it. She insisted that someone boarded the yacht and murdered Nick. But no matter how much Libby cries, no one believed her. The appeal ended in failure. Before going to jail, Libby entrusted her son to her bestie Angie to take care of him. $2 million in compensation from the insurance company will serve as a guarantee for her son's future life. After settling everything, Libby had the last intimate interaction with her son. A week after entering prison, bestie Angie brought her son to visit Libby. Libby didn't notice anything strange at that time, until 2 weeks later, bestie Angie was missing. Libby called many times but no one answered. When Libby was so depressed, 2 kind-hearted female prisoners reminded her, if a person can disappear so easily, no one will be put in jail. This sentence made Libby suddenly realize. After she regained her composure, she called the phone number of bestie Angie's school. Because if bestie Angie leaves premeditatedly, she will definitely quit her job first. Libby contacted the principal as her bestie Angie lies about not receiving severance pay. Want to check the information? The principal immediately checked bestie Angie's mailing address and contact information. Then Libby dialed her bestie Angie's new phone number. When Angie heard Libby's voice, immediately panicked. Her incoherent explanation made her feel guilty even more. Libby has no interest of listening to bestie Angie. Instead, she asked to speak to his son. The moment Libby heard her son call her mom, tears burst into her eyes. But next second, Libby's face suddenly changed. She heard her son call Daddy. On the other end of the phone, after Nick walked in, bestie Angie whispered to him, "It's Libby calling." When Nick heard this, he immediately cut off the phone line. Libby suddenly collapsed. Unwillingly, she called again. Phone remains offline. Libby is lying on the bed looking at photos of her son. Only then did she figure out the original position of the matter. Financial crisis breaks out. Nick's company is heavily in debt. He can't pay off his debt. Then he kept an eye on the insurance money. However, the prerequisite for obtaining compensation is, one of the couple must die, so Nick planned a scene where he can get away and collect insurance. Libby contacted the insurance company, claims Nick is still alive. If they want $2 million back in compensation, it's best to follow the address she provided to confirm this. But either a prisoner in prison, or a salesperson of an insurance company, they all agreed that Libby's spirit was stimulated. Talking nonsense. Another female prisoner believes in Libby's words, and provided her with excellent advice. This female prisoner was a lawyer before she was imprisoned. According to the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution, same crime will not be tried twice. It is called double jeopardy. Libby was found guilty of killing Nick, so the police can no longer charge her with this crime. After Libby is released from prison, as long as she can find Nick, even if she shoot him dead in public, no one can convict Libby again. The lawyer's words rekindled Libby's hope. She began 6 years of devil training. She was exercising herself so hard, running in the wind and rain. Crazy improvement of her overall strength. Her sweat soaked the playground. All women know it. It's hatred that drives Libby. 6 years later, Libby was given the chance of parole due to her outstanding performance. After being released from prison, Libby was arranged to stay in parolee's residence. The officer here is a man with a story. He was a law professor, but because of a drunk driving incident, almost killed his wife and children. His wife divorced him in anger, and took the child away. During the 6 years in prison, Libby misses her son all the time. She came to the school where her bestie Angie worked. She hoped the principal can provide clues about Angie, but the principal advised her to give up looking for a son. For 6 years, it is enough for a child with untapped intelligence. Forget everything. If Libby now acts as a mother, intrude into children's lives, it will only cause him more pain. Libby was speechless. She lurks near the school, wait until dark, break glass, sneak into the archives. At the same time, officer bed check, found that Libby was not there. Libby's intrusion triggered the alarm device. The police arrived soon. Libby speeds up searching for files. She wrote down Angie's social security card number, opened the window in a hurry, run to the woods. The police found Libby, chase all the way to the seaside, finally subdued her on the beach. The moment Libby was caught, all hope is completely lost. She was put in a detention center. After dawn, the officer is going to send her back to prison. The officer drove up to the parking area of the ship. Then he leaned Libby against the car, went to the lounge. Libby tries to get rid of the handcuffs. She was so sad. She suddenly caught a glimpse of the keys in the car that were not removed. Libby leaned out of the car window. There was a railing behind the car. She starts the engine, shift into reverse gear, stretch out her left foot that can barely reach the accelerator, hit the railing hard. Steward on deck. The officer noticed Libby's unusual behavior, rushed down immediately. Libby stepped on the accelerator, fall into the sea directly with the officer. To prevent Libby from drowning, the officer just go and untie Libby's handcuffs. After Libby was rescued, she took the opportunity to steal the officer's pistol, surfaced and injured the officer, swim towards the land. Then Libby took a ride to her mother's house. She told the whole story of the incident. Her mother supports Libby's revenge, leave the pension buried underground to Libby's control. Libby rented a pickup truck and came to the car exchange. She pretended to be her bestie Angie, purchasing a luxury car on installment basis. Provided Angie's social security card number, asked salesperson to check the credit history of the householder. This way she learned the current address of her bestie Angie. On the other side, officer scolded by boss for losing his pistol. He doesn't want to lose his job. Start looking carefully at Libby's criminal record. After some deliberation, officer comes to Social Security Administration. Investigated information about Libby's bestie Angie. Libby, based on the address recorded in Social Security, came to a villa area in a strange city. Before getting out of the car, she checked the bullets in the ring the doorbell. The door was opened by a little boy. She thought she was his son. At this time a woman came out holding a baby. Asked her who she is looking for. Libby retracted her smile in disappointment, said the name of her bestie Angie. Woman shake her head to indicate they just moved in, never heard of this person. Maybe Libby can ask the old lady next door. She has lived here for 40 years. From old lady's mouth, Libby learned her bestie Angie died on the spot due to a gas explosion 4 years ago. Fortunately, Nick and his son were not at home when the incident occurred. Libby can imagine how her bestie Angie died tragically. She didn't believe it was an accident. Libby left not long ago. The officer comes. He found out from the old lady. Libby drives a green pickup truck. Didn't know that the officer had come after her. She was reading the reports of that year in the newspaper office, trying to find clues about Nick. She noticed that there was a painting hanging on the background of the photo. This is the painter Nick admires most. Libby comes to local gallery, specify that she want to buy this painter's work. The boss turns on the computer for Libby to browse, whether sold or unsold. All included in it. Libby pointed out the work on the composite photo. The boss expressed regret. The painting was sold to a museum 6 months ago. Libby asked him, "Can you check some other works they may have?" Then the doorbell rang. The boss ran to open the door. Libby checked the transaction details without authorization. The real buyer is a hotel owner. Libby heard the officer's voice. She quickly jotted down the address. Escape over the wall. The boss walked into the office with the officer. Libby is no longer here. The two of them haven't reacted yet. There was the sound of a car collision downstairs. The officer realized something was wrong. Run to the street immediately. Libby knocked over his car, then drove away. The officer asked the boss what Libby's purpose of her visit. Use this to speculate on her next move. Libby only based on the decoration style of the hotel. She can conclude that Nick is hiding here. Libby inquired at the front desk about the whereabouts of Nick and his son. The front desk said there will be a party at the hotel tonight. Nick won't be back until then. As for the information about the son, the front desk didn't say a word. At night, Libby changed into a dress and appeared at the door of the hotel. Partygoers must present an invitation. Libby randomly chatted with a famous lady, blend in easily. On the other side, the officer came to the local police station to request assistance. The police officers then rushed to the hotel. After the party officially starts, Nick claims as an unmarried man. For the rich women present to bid, the starting price is $500. Several women raised the price to over $2,000. Libby hides in the crowd and starts to increase prices. No matter how much the other party bids, she wants to turn over, but Nick can't see who the bidder is at all. Libby finally paid $10,000 to own Nick for the night. The moment she came on stage to receive the award, Nick's face changed drastically. Libby deliberately embarrassed Nick on stage, then go to a remote corner. After Nick followed, Libby said in a cold tone, she can let go of the past, but her son must be returned to her immediately. If Nick can't do this, she will make his crimes known to the public. Nick lied that his son's school was far away from the hotel. She has to wait until tomorrow at the latest. Libby waited, although Nick's words are not very credible, but for her son, she is willing to take risks. Libby told Nick she will notify him of the meeting place tomorrow. After a while the officer came to the hotel. He went directly to the hotel manager Nick, asked him if he has met Libby. Nick shook his head and said he had never heard of this person. The officer reminded Nick to be careful lately. Libby is looking for him everywhere with a gun. Nick thanks to the officer for his kindness. Actually, he never took Libby seriously from beginning to end, including tomorrow's meeting. In the bar, Libby was eating fast food at the bar. The bartender knew who she was at a glance. Not only did he not expose Libby, the police has taken her photo and distributed to everywhere. At this time, several police officers walked into the bar, searched for Libby on the dance floor. The bartender quickly handed Libby an umbrella. Tell her not to stay here for long. Libby said thanks again. Leave the bar quickly. Walk towards a crowded place. When the police officer guarding the door saw Libby, notified the headquarters immediately. Large number of police officers poured into the crowd to hunt down Libby. But because there are so many people coming and going on the street, they are all covered by umbrellas. Libby quickly escaped capture. The officer visited Nick the next day, tell him that Libby were on the streets last night. He planned to take advantage of Nick's words, but Nick is very calm and didn't tell anything, so that the officer cannot see any flaws. Just when the officer is about to give up, suddenly the painting on the wall appeared. A bold idea came to his mind. The officer calmly left the hotel. To confirm his guess, the officer asked the police to send Nick's driver's license. The photo above is an old man over 50 years old, coming to the police station with the last glimmer of hope. On the population register, search for people named Nick. It turns out there are 6 duplicate names. He looked at the photos one by one, until found Nick. He suddenly understood. Libby was really wronged. After careful consideration, Libby decided to meet Nick at the cemetery. This is a tourist attraction. There are many people around. She doesn't have to worry about Nick playing tricks, but Libby still underestimated Nick. After the two met at the cemetery, Nick pointed at the little boy not far away and said, "Our son is a little nervous, don't dare to come over." Libby misses him dearly. Then she took the initiative to go over and meet her son. The little boy didn't get close to her, just ran towards the depths of the cemetery. He always stops at the corner, make sure Libby catches up and continues running. Just when Libby was about to catch up with the little boy, Nick suddenly appears, grabbing her hair and hitting her against a pillar. He dragged the unconscious Libby into the coffin in the grave, crucified her inside. Libby woke up and found herself trapped in a coffin. She used a lighter to illuminate, take out the pistol from her backpack, tear open the surface of the coffin, aim at the locked position, pierce the coffin directly. The officer has been staying near the hotel. He saw Libby appearing with a look of embarrassment. Intercept her immediately. Libby leaned on the officer's arms aggrievely, tears like rain. The officer comes to visit Nick. Frankly speaking, he has discovered his identity, as long as Nick can give $1 million hush money. The officer guarantees that the police will never find out the truth. Nick readily agreed. The officer continued, "The only danger now is Libby. Sooner or later she will leak the news." Nick assured the officer, Libby will never have this opportunity in her life, because he has been killed by himself. The officer raised his lips. Libby walked in from the door holding a gun, threatens Nick to reveal his son's school. Libby doesn't intend to kill Nick directly, she's going to send Nick to jail. Experience the pain she have experienced, just now. The office also recorded Nick's self-narration of the process of killing Libby. There will also be Libby's fingerprints and blood stains on Nick's car, and a shovel, to arrest Nick for murder. All of these will be handed over to the police as evidence. Then Nick took out the pistol hidden under the table, hit the officer. Libby quickly hid behind the sofa. Nick was about to shoot her. The officer tried his best to throw Nick to the ground. Libby took the opportunity to draw her gun, shot Nick. Police and ambulance arrived at the scene at the same time. Fortunately, the officer only injured his arm. Later, as arranged by the officer, Libby came to an aristocratic school. She is standing on the playground. Call out her son's name softly. Her son heard a familiar voice, turning around in disbelief. Nick told his son more than once, Libby, his mother is dead. Now he never imagined he can see his mother again. The son ran quickly to Libby, into the warm embrace of mother. Such a wonderful scene. Please enjoy the movie. See you next time.